I'm Alexander Sciola, here with Nick Rose, 31-year-old freelance journalist. So, Nick,
Hi, Al.
you work as a journalist, and tell me how that came to be.
That came to be. I had no plans of becoming a journalist ever. I was planning on becoming a lawyer. I studied psychology, got that degree, and then I said, okay, I want to be a lawyer. And so I went to law school, graduated law school, and then I went to write the Quebec bar exam, failed miserably, and then moved to Paris for a few months, and had this romantic existential crisis. When I came out of that, I was like, you know what? Instead of trying the bar exam again and spending $5,000 to maybe pass what I think is an arbitrary exam, I sent out an article I'd written. I didn't pitch it or anything. I just wrote this article and sent it to an editor I'd met at Vice, at a party a few months earlier. And I said, let's throw this out into the world like a frisbee and see if anything comes back. And sure enough, after like a soul-crushing month of looking for straight jobs, like in banks or law jobs, a half hour after sending this article out, and I'd never written anything before, and then the response from the editor was, this is going up on the website in like an hour, you need to fix this. Pretty minor changes, and then boom, I got this immediate result. Pretty, immediate result compared to the 1 month of job searches. So I figured, I'm good at this. And I haven't really ever looked back since. I just kind of kept going that direction. So I was freelancing, writing about crime mostly. And then eventually I got a staff writer position for Munchies, Vice's food website. And did that as a staff writer for 3.5 years. I guess officially became a journalist once I got the staff writing gig, to answer your question.
And do you think that if Vice or Munchies hadn't taken you on and liked your writing, what do you think you'd be doing right now if that were the case?
I hate to think about that because I really feel like I've found the thing I'm good at and that I can make money off of, and that I don't really even see as a job. Like it's just, for me, it's something I do compulsively because I would I don't know.
So you've always written?
No, not before I did this job. I never really wrote music or lyric, poetry, nothing. I wasn't, I wrote a lot of term papers, and I really learned how to write in law school because it's a very precise form of writing, which I think came in handy for law school, for journalism. But no, I'd never written before. Literally the first thing I ever wrote was this article, and it got published. So I was like, okay, well, I'm good at this. Even my innermost critic couldn't argue with that fact. So yeah.
How does your personal life and your own passions play a role in what you write?
Well, now that I'm a freelancer, I'd say 90% of the work that I do is still for Vice, and I'm on very good terms with the editors and stuff. They let me write about anything I want. Like, I'm working currently on an article about UFOs, which has been a lifelong interest for me. I'm still interviewing chefs. But I'm writing a true crime series for Vice's website. So, they let me write an article about nothing. I spoke to a physicist and a philosopher about what nothing means, because it occurred to me one day.
Like Seinfeld.
Yeah, kind of like Seinfeld. Yeah. It was an article about nothing.
Yeah.
But I realized that we throw the word nothing around like it's no big deal, but we don't actually know what it means when you think, because even if you're thinking about nothing, you're still thinking about nothing as a concept, which is something. So, that was just a kind of personal reflection I had, and then I said, if someone wrote what is nothing, I would read that. So I pitched that to the Motherboard editor, which is Vice's tech science website, and they were super into it. So I got to write about nothing. I'm not a science writer, but I spoke to a journalist, a philosopher. I spoke to a physicist, cosmologist/physicist. Two guys whose stuff I had read before, and they never would have spoken to me otherwise. But I got to pick the brains of really brilliant people and I was paid for it.
So you're almost given carte blanche in these scenarios where as long as you pitch a good enough idea, they're gonna let you run with it.
Yeah, and luckily after it's been almost 5 years I've been working with Vice either as a freelancer or staff, and they know that I'll deliver something coherent at least. So that's my personal interest in UFOs. Now I'm working on an article about that. So the influence it has, like whatever intellectual pursuit or thing I'm curious about, I always ask myself, well, how can I write about this, and then basically get paid to learn more about it.
So what have been, for you the proudest moments in either your career or your life in general?
Proudest moments. That's a good question. I got to, interviewing like people who I've always held in high regard, like Norm Macdonald, the amazing comedian.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a really long conversation with him. We ended up exchanging phone numbers and we were texting.
Wow.
Jacques Vallée, who's like the most respected guy in ufology, which I've always been interested in. I'm interviewing him soon. I think being able to converse with people who I think are brilliant, and then sometimes getting like a response back saying, hey, this is a really great article, and they share it. It's a source of external validation beyond just the internal validation of like, wow, I got to pick the brain of this person.
Right.
And
And
about it.
just in a sentence or two, what's some advice you have for young aspiring journalists?
I would say just go for it. Like, just knock on doors, send emails. I didn't even pitch anything. I just wrote the thing, and I sent it in. And don't get discouraged. It's gonna take sometimes. It takes a lot of pitches to get through, and then once you do, they'll the editors will trust you. It's a lot more than 1 or 2 sentences.
No,
I
that's
can
fine.
keep going if you want.
That's all good.
Okay, if you want more advice.
That's all the time we have. Thank you very much, Nick.
All right, my pleasure.